story is a map of meaning, a strategy for emotional regulation and behavioral output, or a description of how to act in a circumstance to ensure that the circumstance retains its positive motivational salience, or at least have its negative qualities reduced to the greatest possible degree.
I actually followed you, but I couldn't recall it. I
Yeah,
can't repeat
yeah.
it to you.
No, it's because it's a long one, for sure.
Okay.
That's mostly why.
So there's about three kind of sections there that we
Okay,
could
yeah.
break down.
Yeah.
At least that's what it sounded like to me.
Do you want me
Okay.
to break them down?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, a story or a map of meaning is one, a strategy for emotional regulation and behavioral output.
hmm
So, it's you deciding how you're going to regulate your emotions and how you're going to behave.
So wait, a map of meaning, to clarify,
Yeah. Or a story.
is they're interchangeable.
He's
Story
using them
map of meaning.
interchangeably.
Yeah,
Because his whole point is that stories and narratives tell us how to act.
right. Okay. Okay, got it. Yes, yes. I just wanted to clarify.
The other things that are part of it, it's a description of how to act in a circumstance to ensure that the circumstance retains its positive motivational salience.
hmm
And what that means is, so ensuring that it retains its positive motivational salience is basically saying how to ensure that what's going on remains good for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, the point is that a story or this map of meaning will tell me how to act so that whatever circumstance I'm in, it stays good for me.
Right.
Or the part that he has at the end, at the very least, the negative qualities are reduced to the greatest possible degree.
hmm
So, what he's saying maps of meaning are,
hmm
or stories are stories that tell us how to act to make life as good as possible by either keeping things good for us or avoiding or turning, I would say, negating bad things as much as possible.
Gotcha. I think.
Which is like true though, because
Oh yeah.
that's what the Bible does.
Yeah.
That story tells us how to act
Yeah.
in any kind
To
of
negate
circumstance
bad
to
things.
negate bad things and bring up good things.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind for me was it was like episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
or no, it was 2. Episode 1 was placing importance. Episode 2 was the chaos
Mm-hmm.
and order. Um and I had mentioned like people nowadays are like scared to enter the unknown of like shaking somebody's hand and introducing themselves.
Mm.
And that makes me recall that memory, and I think it's because I'm just guesstimating. I'm thinking it's because um, we're taught how to interact with people, especially in new circumstances, to give us good outcomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least negate bad ones. I mean, my dad never like formally sat me down and was like, "This is how you introduce yourself. This is how you shake
Right.
someone's hand." It was just like I watched him do it. I watched other men do it. I watched that happen in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, that causes positive things. Even like just going to like we were going to a lumber yard for when we were building our house, and it was the first time we were going there. And my dad introduced himself, shook his hand, and told him what he was doing, and I was like, okay, yeah, like this is like you should do this everywhere you're going, every time you're meeting somebody new, because it's giving you a positive experience. If you introduce yourself and you give a good firm handshake, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, this person is kind, this person is direct, I can do business with them, or I can help them, etc., etc., etc. I can reap the benefits from doing
Mm-hmm.
this, um, like this ritual of
Yeah.
interaction.
And your dad didn't tell you that.
No.
Right. And that's the importance of it being a narrative,
Mm-hmm.
is that even if you didn't understand that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
what Peterson would argue is that you understood it implicitly,
Yeah.
which is just crazy.
It's absolutely wild.
And I mean, I think that that's why the Bible is a narrative
Yeah.
as opposed to just, a set of like a set of rules on how to live. Because I think there's so much that obviously happens in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Bible is a narrative that can apply widely to, I would argue, any situation
Mm-hmm.
because it covers all the bases
Yeah.
and does so through story.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having just like a like a code of Hammurabi, just like dozens and dozens of rules,
Yeah.
what happens in each specific circumstance. A narrative allows it to, even if it's not the exact same thing that's happening to you that happened to this character, you can still abstract the lesson from it and apply it to yourself.
For me, prodigal son comes to mind
Mm-hmm.
because there's the father, there's the older brother, and the younger brother, the prodigal son, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the story, to summarize, basically talks about the prodigal son. And
Yeah.
that's what it focuses on, almost the entire
Right.
duration. But like you can abstract one, the prodigal son, which is obvious, two, the father, and three, the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And like each character of the story, each role that they played, and the importance of those roles that they played within the story. So like the prodigal son story is very important for fathers who are struggling with, a son that's prodigal, a son that is um maybe a little spiteful, maybe a little rebellious,
Mm-hmm.
as the father, that story really shows you how to do that. And it doesn't give any specific examples. It doesn't say fathers do this, older brothers do this,
No.
younger brothers, younger sons do this, And I think even the in the way in which we refer to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
God the Father chose, he said, call me Father,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is something we call him. I think it's a great example of like what we as men who look to be fathers, or even men who are fathers,
Mm-hmm.
there's your perfect example. And that's never explicitly stated.
Right.
But there's a reason he says it, in the same way that Jesus is the Son, because we're all sons and daughters of the Father. So that's exactly why we live like Jesus, is because he's referred to as the Son,
Mm-hmm.
or in some women's cases, the daughter. It's just a path for us to follow through the narrative rather than just
Mm-hmm.
being told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's crazy how much narratives are used.
Oh, yeah.